a live look now in Mount Clemens, where the downtown area is about to get a huge change. The city is revamping the waterfront along the Clinton River with a goal of encouraging more people to live and shop there. It's an issue we featured in our In Your Neighborhood segment back in May when we took our 5:30 newscast on the road and spent the entire 30 minutes in Mount Clemens. This time, the show came to us. Joining us to talk about the progression there, Mount Clemens Mayor Laura Kropp is here, and State Representative Denise Spencer, who represents that city. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, let's talk about City Hall, because that building is historic. and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's historically messy, right?
Yeah.
It has single pane windows, heating and cooling that's failing. The list goes on and on of needs. So yes, we definitely needed to make a choice on would we just renovate the building, or is this an opportunity to really look at where City Hall sits? Which
had to be a challenge. Speaking of where it sits, there's some video I want to show you right now of old City Hall. There's what it says in the rundown: old City Hall.
Old City Hall.
Because
City Hall.
Geographically, it's beautiful, right? It's right on the river. I mean, it's in a great spot. So giving up that space had to be a difficult decision.
Absolutely. I have a wonderful view from my office.
Right.
And I get to see the Clinton River, and it's something that we want everyone to enjoy. And so it made it really an opportunity for us to look at and say, hey, we should have other people enjoying this view and other people really understanding. And it's a competitive advantage to other communities within our county and the Tri-County area. Not too many of them have rivers that run right through their downtown.
Of course. Now, I didn't ask you to bring numbers, so if you don't know the answer, it's okay. But I'm curious if you know what the renovations costs were versus, buying an existing building and moving out.
That's kind of the phase we're in now, is looking at what is that number. We know that we've had some preliminary numbers from our heating and cooling guys that say, hey, all 5 units on the top of the roof right now are failing. And it would be over almost $1 million, we believe.
Just for that, though, because the building is so old that once you start tearing things down and moving around, you find more problems.
Definitely. And we have walls of single pane windows. So it would be a tremendous cost. And so we know that this next step, we also have a problem. 48% of our land in Mount Clemens and our 4 square miles, because we're the county seat, is non-taxable. So when I became mayor, I said, in order to make Mount Clemens sustainable, we have to increase our taxable properties. And so to do that,
which I'm sure is fairly controversial.
Yeah, well, everyone agrees we need more money.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely. So we've done some things that have helped promote growth in Mount Clemens in terms of the business communities. We're having a great development that's happening in over by the old Gibraltar Trade Center. So we've got some movement in that direction. But the City Hall piece really helps us move to the next level. Right.
So speaking of, Denise, you can talk more about this, because a lot of money was needed to make this project happen. So we showed you the old, now we can show you, we'll say new, but it's not new, but you're purchasing the old Anton Center from Oakland University, which is basically just, on it's kitty corner.
Just
a
skip and a jump.
Right, just go over the river and it's there. How did all this come together?
Well, the first contact I had with that was County Executive Mark Hackle's office. His assistant, John Paul Rea, called me and said, what can you do to help? And I'm like, well, how much do you want?
How much help or how much money?
Which was the answer we
wanted. So they wrote a very beautiful letter. I filled out all of the forms for the enhancement. It's called an enhancement grant, and then I begged, pleaded, and stared at people intimidatingly.
That's our girl.
So we're looking at video right now of the building that you're going to be moving into, which, again, it's not far from the old City Hall. It's right across the street from the county admin building.
Right.
So how much did it cost you to purchase this, and when are you hoping to move in?
So this is a $1.5 million to Oakland, right? We're purchasing it for $1.5 million.
Okay.
And then we will have to build out. We also are going to move the fire station to that building.
Okay.
So there'll be some cost to that.
Sure.
And we're looking for funding for that as well.
Right.
But we want to move so that we have this campus. We'll have the substation, so the sheriff will be there, the fire station, and move everything off of the river into that complex over at 20 South Main.
Gotcha.
And that there will be a cost to that. We've been planning with our strategic plan and our budget aligning, and so we have capital funds set aside.
Okay.
But of course, there is some additional costs that we are looking to look for grants and some other. We're gonna
we'll talk to
Denise.
beg and intimidate. Before you get going, we've got to take a very short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about that, and then let's talk kind of overall plans for revitalizing downtown when we come back in 90 seconds. Welcome back, everybody, to Local 4 Live. Back now looking at Mount Clemens. I've got the Mount Clemens Mayor, Laura Kropp, right next to me, and State Representative Denise Metzer also. As we look live, we planted a camera there. We're watching you for years.
I like it.
So we've talked about the plans to move City Hall kind of in more of the downtown off of Main Street there, which really opens up a lot of opportunity for the waterfront right there.
Yes.
Is that kind of your vision to revitalize that area, maybe attract some new businesses, new people, maybe even some new housing down there?
Absolutely. It's phase 3 of our plan.
You've got all these phases.
I know. I know, we do. Phase 3 of the plan, and phase 1 is in the works right now. We have $6.5 million project in the heart of Mount Clemens. You already covered that when you had all the construction happening.
There's a lot happening down there.
Yes, exactly. Finally, right? So we've got a ton of stuff happening in the heart of the city, and then we're kind of building out. So next phase is Main Street. We're going to put a boulevard down the middle, and we're putting green space, and it's going to be a beautiful, and it's going to lead you right down to City Hall.
Oh, perfect.
And then the third phase will be this riverfront revitalization, and that's going to be a public-private partnership because we want a developer to come in, and we want people living on the river. We want multi-use there. We want public access. So it's really in the high-level phase of what we're kind of dreaming right now, right? What is this going to look like once we move those buildings off? And then, and the city commission, of course, obviously has to have some input into that, and just, and then, of course, bringing the right developer on board to make those dreams come true. Okay,
so speaking of dreams cost money.
Yes,
So I wanted to ask Denise, is there anything from a state perspective? Are there grants? Are there funds? Are there things that can we beg for more money somehow to make these things happen?
I've already been begging. I got some letters of support from County Executive Hackle, from Greg Shipman, the city manager. I went as far as getting letters from the firefighters union because they're the fire hall's right on the waterfront, and for the fire chief. So I put together an enhancement grant paperwork and submitted all those letters, and I have been advocating hard to get some money for this project.
Right. So I mean, I know money, especially in Lansing, is very difficult to come by right now. You're still fighting over what the budget's going to be.
Oh yeah.
So is there the political will to spend money on projects like this?
Well, from what I heard in our caucus is that the money, the enhancement grants that are going to come out this year are going to be infrastructure and safety based.
Okay.
So you're not going to see anything for a gun range or a golf course, or a splash pad. At least that's what we've been told. And quite frankly, I appreciate that. It has driven me crazy for years. I was on Mount Clemens City Commission with Laura for years. It drove me insane that we have a parking lot on the waterfront.
Right.
So this development is going to be huge, for the city, and I will do whatever I can to bring as much money as I can for this project. And I have talked about it incessantly with some people on the Appropriations Committee and with, within, the Democratic Caucus.
Sure. Okay, so we've been talking phase 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
What's a realistic timeline for all this? I know that's the hardest part.
Right, of course, barring no roadblocks.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, because that never happens.
Yeah, right, exactly, exactly. So phase 2, we believe next year will get started. So that's Main Street.
Okay.
And then the riverfront will, and City Hall moving around the same time as
Okay.
phase 2, and then the riverfront shortly after.
And then are you just selling the City Hall property? Is that to the right developer? Is that kind of okay?
Right. That's what we kind of envision. But again, there's so many opportunities in that, and so many other communities that we see doing kind of mixed, where they might sell or they might
Sure.
use part of it. So
I mean, you can put a deed restriction in place to say how it gets used. I'm sure
Absolutely.
sure the lawyers are telling you that's what to do.
Yeah, sure, of course.
What's your vision? What would you love to see there?
I would love to see people living there. I would love to see a really beautiful restaurant where you can pull your boat up or walk right into downtown
Yeah.
right from it.
Yeah.
That's my vision. But there's a lot of people. It's not just my vision, right, of Mount Clemens. It's going to be the residents. It's going to be the city commissioners.
Right.
It's everyone. So it's exciting.
So I'm sure a lot of this has to do with beautifying the area, but I'm sure a big driver is also the economy, right? Whatever you do down there, let's say it's some apartments and a nice boat dock and restaurants, that will bring money into Mount Clemens, which
Absolutely.
you also need.
Yes. Right now, City Hall and obviously the fire station don't generate any revenue for
Right.
us in terms of property taxes,
Right.
so it will. But then also just it creating a space where we have residents, more residents.
Right, a synergy.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we have other developments that are happening. We have less than 100 people living in downtown proper right now, but we have...
Really?
Yeah, yeah. In those 6-7 blocks,
Okay, it's all
we have less than
commercial?
100, right, exactly. So we have a 117-unit development that is in progress right now
Okay.
at the old Victory Inn site.
Okay.
We had another development, Edison Crossing, that was recent, 30 units. And then if, the riverfront becomes that as well.
It kind of seems to me, and please, no offense at all, but Mount Clemens is kind of like the sleeper cell at this point. Like, you are going to come out of nowhere, and you'll
Yeah.
be a place to be.
Well, watch
Not
out.
that you're not now.
We're
but-
waking up.
Awesome. Okay, Laura, Denise, thank you so much for coming in. And we can't wait to see what happens in Mount Clemens. And we'll say 3 years.
Sir?
Okay, deal. You heard it here first.
Yeah, come back and see us.
There you go. Okay.